On August 9, 1974, Richard Nixon became the first and only U.S. president to resign from office. Nixon had been hounded by scandal ever since he was linked to the Watergate break-in by Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. Their story relied heavily on information from an anonymous source known only as Deep Throat. And for 33 years, the identity of this individual who brought down the president was one of history's greatest mysteries.
United States of America, 1972, election year. With a booming economy at his back, President Richard Nixon's re-election chances appear promising. His opponent, George McGovern, is widely regarded to be too extreme in his leftist views. And coming off a decade of hippie counterculture, the American people seek a mainstream president to lead them into a new era. But despite the favorable election forecast, Nixon wants assurance. As the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War continues to divide the country, the president and his key advisors deem a more forceful campaign to be necessary. And so they devise a plan, beginning the chain of events that would eventually lead to one of the most recognizable scandals of American political history: Watergate. Washington, D.C., June 17, 1972, sometime after midnight. Men working for Nixon's committee to re-elect the president break into the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate complex, equipped with sophisticated tools of espionage. In an attempt to bug phones and steal copies of secret campaign documents, they carry lockpicks, door jimmies, pin-sized tear gas guns, radios, cameras, and stacks of $100 bills. While the break-in makes front-page news, Nixon's involvement is not yet suspected. A few weeks after the incident, Nixon swears that his White House staff had no affiliation or knowledge of the botched heist, and the public believes him. In November 1972, President Nixon wins re-election by the largest popular vote margin of any post-World War II president, earning over 60% of votes. But Nixon won't have long to revel in his victory. Two young and ambitious Washington Post reporters, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, have already been compiling information that would soon expose the scope of corruption in the White House, leading all the way to the top. Their reporting states not only that Nixon knew about the Watergate break-in, but that he arranged to provide hundreds of thousands of dollars in hush money to the conspirators through his campaign fund, and commanded the CIA to obstruct the FBI's investigation into the scandal. These key pieces of information come primarily from a lead anonymous source, a man with power, a man with access to classified intelligence, and a man whose identity remains a mystery for over 30 years: Deep Throat. There are four main types of informational sources in journalism: off the record, on the record, background, and deep background. Off-the-record information cannot be published in any capacity, whereas on-the-record information can be freely publicized and attributed to an individual by name and title. Background information can be published with only a vague title, whereas deep background information can be published with no identifiable information about the source. When scandal and corruption infiltrate the most powerful offices of American politics, an on-the-record testimony could prove harmful to the source of the information. The deep background nature of the Watergate whistleblower inspires the managing editor of the Post to bestow on its key informant the pseudonym Deep Throat, not so subtly alluding to the controversial but widely viewed 1972 pornographic film of the same name. Bernstein and Woodward keep Deep Throat and his identity safe for over 3 decades. A mystery of this scope begs massive speculation. 2 years after the story breaks, and 2 months before Nixon resigns, Woodward and Bernstein author a book contributing clues about Woodward's relationship with Deep Throat. They write that he is an old friend and sometimes source who worked for the federal government and did not like to be called at his office. They continue by providing insight into Deep Throat's psyche, calling him a man whose fight had been worn out in too many battles, and an incurable gossip. While Woodward may describe Deep Throat as a gossip, the anonymous source rarely volunteers new information and only confirms facts to help keep the investigation on track. Careful and calculating, Deep Throat uses his background in investigative intelligence to devise a plan that allows Woodward to meet with him without being spotted. When Woodward needs information from Deep Throat, he moves a plant pot with a red flag to a different area on his balcony. And if Deep Throat needs to get in touch with Woodward, he delivers a newspaper, circling a section in pen on an inside page. On the way to the meeting, Woodward takes multiple taxis and a roundabout route. After analyzing Woodward and Bernstein's book for clues to Deep Throat's identity, scholars remain mystified. Experts claim that no single person fits the bill and accuse the Washington Post reporters of condensing multiple sources into one amalgamation. Other critics allege that Woodward and Bernstein created Deep Throat without a real source to back it up. A long list of names within the White House and intelligence agencies are deemed plausible, but none have enough evidence to unequivocally prove Deep Throat's identity. So who is this paranoid, mysterious figure? And perhaps more importantly, what are his motives? While Deep Throat plays a vital role in expelling corruption from the Oval Office, his true intentions may not be as patriotic as one would assume. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, the pinnacle of organized intelligence and the chief investigating agency into the alleged crimes of Nixon and his aides. The information leaked by Deep Throat points to the likelihood that he holds a high-ranking position within the Bureau, most likely with close ties to its founder, J. Edgar Hoover. After 36 years of building the FBI into a crime-fighting world leader, Hoover dies of a heart attack in May of 1972. He has been plagued by controversy in the years leading up to his death, earning a reputation for abusing power and overextending the FBI's reach. Not unlike Nixon, Hoover experiences his fair share of public scrutiny, but waiting in the wings to take Hoover's former role as director of the FBI is its new second-in-command, the man in charge of day-to-day operations and leader of the Watergate investigations, Mark Felt. After months of White House interference with the Watergate investigation, Felt knows the likelihood of justice is fleeting. Without media coverage and public pressure, the crimes of the Nixon administration would go unpunished. So he makes a decision to take matters into his own hands, leaking information to Woodward and simultaneously cementing his place in history as the infamous and mysterious figure known only to the people as Deep Throat. Mark Felt risks his safety and his career when he shares the secrets of Watergate with Woodward and Bernstein. But are his actions as noble as they appear, or is Felt attempting to oust a White House that consistently undermines the power of his agency? The evidence is murky. Rather than conducting an above-board investigation, multiple agents claim that Felt purposefully obstructs efforts by the new FBI director, William Ruckelshaus, to bring Nixon to justice. Along with this alleged obstruction, Felt has gained a reputation for being a strong follower of Hoover, purging the Bureau of the dictatorial FBI founder's critics. Being passed over for the director position multiple times only gives skeptics more reason to doubt the nobility of Felt's whistleblowing. Whatever his motives, Mark Felt plays a crucial role in unraveling one of America's greatest scandals. And in 2005, he solves one of America's greatest mysteries by revealing himself as the formerly anonymous Watergate whistleblower in a Vanity Fair article. At the age of 91, Mark Felt ends the decades-long speculation by declaring, "I am the guy they used to call Deep Throat."
And so, despite 3 decades of intense media scrutiny and speculation, Woodward and Bernstein managed to keep their prized source's identity a secret. Mark Felt, the man once known as Deep Throat, was able to step into the public eye on his own terms. He's no longer just an anonymous source, and no longer one of history's greatest mysteries.